Hello students, welcome back to this unit on retail marketing mix and especially on price mix under this unit. In the previous videos, I have already discussed with you what is meant by price mix, the importance of price for an organization, the factors influencing retail marketing price, the objectives of pricing, and various strategies that is taken by the companies for fixation of price. Now in today's video, what I'm going to discuss with you is about the various pricing methods. Now let's start with some of the pricing methods, uh, and the price, as I have told you previously, that the price that the company charges will be somewhere between the one that is too low to produce a profit and one that is too high to produce any demand. I hope you remember about the minimum price and the maximum price that I spoke to you under pricing strategies. And I also have spoken to you how the company has to decide upon five best prices which it can charge between the minimum price and the maximum price. I also hope you remember that I had spoken about how a company cannot constantly continue to keep the same price for its goods, and depending upon the situation in the economy as well as in the international market, and also based upon uh, the product life cycle, the stages of the product life cycle, the company would be required to change its pricing strategies from time to time for a single product also. So here it says that the companies set prices by selecting a general pricing approach that includes one or more of these set of factors. So under general pricing approaches, there's a classification shown as cost based approach, value based pricing, and competition based approach. Cost based approach is where the company is concerned only about what costs it has incurred in the production and marketing of those goods. Value based pricing is the approach which is adopted when the company looks into the add-on values that is provided to the goods and how the customer perceives that value. So the pricing is based upon those items. And lastly, it's the competition based approach. In this case, the company looks into what the competitors or how the competitors are pricing their products, and based upon that they decide upon how to fix the prices. So let's look at some of the pricing methods. You have over here premium pricing, value for pricing, value for money pricing, cheap value pricing, low cost pricing, and apex fares. Now, to give a simple example of this different types of pricing, I would say that if you think about your travel in a train, you'll find that this graphical representation also looks like as though you're traveling in different coaches of a train. So if you look at the low cost pricing or the cheap value pricing, let's consider the low cost pricing to be your unreserved travel in a train in India, and cheap value pricing can be referred to your second class travel in a train. And value for money pricing can be your first uh, it can be your third AC and your second AC, and premium pricing can be for your first AC. So the comfort level is different. In unreserved, you when you travel, there is no comfort at all. In traveling, you won't have a seat to sit, and you have to spend a lot of time holding on to the seat and not even being able to go to the washroom, and you won't be able to sleep either. So that's a low cost pricing. And cheap value pricing is uh, where you have a berth and you can sleep, but there is no air conditioning provided. So that's a cheap value pricing. So but it's slightly better than the low cost pricing. So low cost pricing is the cheapest way in which you travel. Cheap value pricing is slightly priced higher than the low cost pricing. Then you have the value for money pricing. Here I have included the third AC and the second AC for value for money pricing. So air conditioning is provided, and therefore you get those comforts under this category. So the travel becomes even more comfortable. People can sleep, people have people can enjoy the comforts of the air conditioning. But of course the compartment looks like a second class compartment because there's no privacy over there. In third AC, second AC, you do not have privacy. And in premium pricing, I would say that your first AC travel can be classified under premium pricing, because here you have a separate compartment or a separate cabin for yourself, and it is air conditioned, so you have a complete privacy. You don't have to see the other passengers in the train, and you get blankets and various other fringe benefits from the railway officials. So that all puts in a little more value to the product or service, and therefore it is called as premium pricing. Apex fares are the fares which are very high, and it is charged when there's a great demand for that product or service. So it's in an unusual situation that the fares that are charged are exorbitant or very high, and those are the apex fares. So I hope you have understood with the example of the train coaches and your travel in trains how the pricing differs from low cost pricing to cheap value pricing to value for money pricing and for premium pricing. So there are some people who are very price sensitive. They are very concerned about the money that they are spending, especially the low income group and middle income group. So they generally opt for low cost pricing or for cheap value pricing. And there are some who are earning good money, the upper middle class as well as the rich people, who prefer to travel using the value for money pricing or premium pricing. So premium pricing essentially means fixing a price which is higher than that of your competitors to achieve a premium position. And this pricing is used to show that your product has some unique features or advantages as compared to the competitor's product. So now this kind of premium pricing I have explained in comparison to a single product or service that a manufacturer is having. So he can grade it as per the different features of the product or service that he is offering to his customers. Premium pricing can also be used as a single price for a product. So for example, a manufacturer of shirt, like a manufacturer of crocodile shirt, or a manufacturer of Alan Solly shirt, or a manufacturer of Peter England shirt. Now this manufacturer may only be manufacturing a particular shirt of premium quality. They may not be having goods which are or shirts which are of low cost, cheap value, or value for money. They only have premium shirts. They only manufacture premium shirts. Now these are companies, or these are marketeers who want to sell their products only as premium products to the customers. They are not interested in having different features for their products. So they are not interested in having cheap shirts or low value shirts, nothing of that sort. Their brand is associated only with premium shirts. So they only sell those kind of shirts, and people who can afford that much price, they go and purchase those shirts. And you have other companies which offer shirts for low cost or cheap value and so on. Similarly, in the case of car also, you'll find some car manufacturers produce premium brands of car. they are not interested in purchasing the low cost cars or the utility cars. They only manufacture cars such as Mercedes and Audi. Whereas there can be some car manufacturers who, like the example of this train, may manufacture cars with several features. So they may have a low cost car, they can have a cheap value car, or they can have a value for money car, and they might have a premium car also. So a low cost car may be the base model of the car without any add-on features. Cheap value car will be a car probably with tinted glasses and the basic features such as a wiper at the back side of the back window of the car. Like that, some basic features may be provided under cheap value. And under value for money pricing, they might provide in the car AC as well as a mobile charger socket. So and a stereo. So that is value for money pricing. And in premium pricing for this car manufacturer, for his cars, he might provide airbags for safety purposes, then bottle holders, magazine holders, and so on, or a television inside, or he can have GPS provided with the car. So that is premium pricing. So a car manufacturer can opt for only producing either premium cars, or he can decide on manufacturing all types of cars catering to different segments of the society. So starting from low cost car to cheap value car to value for money car, as well as premium cars. So now you would have understood that under premium pricing you can or a company can either manufacture a premium product alone and sell it under their brand name, and they're very confident that their product will get sold, or they can manufacture different versions of the same product, and starting from the lowest product they can add on features and also sell a premium product in that. So therefore, I repeat myself, premium pricing is about fixing a price higher than your competitors to achieve a premium position. So therefore, what happens is, in premium pricing you're always going to fix your price a little above that of your competitors, and this is just to signify that your product is outstanding or is a little different from that of the others. So when Peter England charges around 1500 or 2500 rupees for a shirt, and other ordinary shirts are costing around 1000 rupees, so it indicates that the reason for the for charging little high is because there is a distinctive advantage that the customer gets by purchasing a Alan Solly or a Peter England shirt. So therefore, maybe the weave is good, maybe the fiber that is used or the yarn that is used in manufacturing of the shirt is good. So therefore, in premium pricing, the price is generally fixed a little higher than that of the competitors to achieve a premium position. And this type of pricing is used to show that your product has some unique features or advantages as compared to the competitor's product. So I've given you so many examples over here. One is about the train coaches, then one is about the car, which is Mercedes or Audi, which can be sold as premium brand of car, or you can even consider the example of a Hyundai car, wherein they have different models to cater to different segments of society, and they have premium cars in that brand also. I hope this is clear to you. Let's move on to the next slide. Now here also you find different pricing methods. You have cost-based pricing. Under that you have cost plus pricing and markup pricing. Now what is this cost plus pricing or markup pricing? Cost plus pricing or markup pricing means you're adding something to the cost of the product and increasing the cost, increasing the selling price of the product. Sorry. So markup pricing is a method whereby a certain percentage is added as markup to the cost of the product for determining the selling price. So which means that first you decide upon the cost of the product, then second what the company does is it decides upon the profit that they want, and based upon the cost of the product and the profit that they desire to get, they decide what is the percentage of markup that they want. Now this percentage of markup is then added to the cost in order to get the selling price. I hope all of you remember your mathematics class wherein you were taught cost plus profit is equal to selling price. So the formula is cost plus profit is equal to selling price, but here what the company does is first it decides upon the cost of the product, then it decides upon what profit it wants. So second factor is profit, and based upon that profit they decide upon a percentage of markup, and that percentage of market is added to the cost. Therefore we call it as markup pricing. Let's understand the next type of pricing, which is called as value pricing. Now what is value pricing? Value pricing is also sometimes called as value based pricing. I've spoken to you about this in the previous video also, but to recall your memory, let me repeat it again. So the value of the product as perceived by a customer and which is used to set the price is called as value based pricing. The actual cost of the product is a secondary consideration. So I told you that many a times the customer also has got an opinion about what would be the value of the product. So from the perspective of the customer, what can be the value is considered by the manufacturer, and based upon that he decides to set the price. So though he has incurred cost of the cost to manufacture the product, and he does consider that, but the importance for that is only secondary. The main importance he gives to how the customer looks at his product. So therefore price is based more on product benefits which is perceived by the customer rather than the exact cost of producing the product. So based on the value added features, based on the product benefits, based on the product functionality, the marketer tries to base the price and fix the price. Now let's move on to target return pricing. What is target return pricing? Target return pricing is when the company fixes the price on the basis of a target rate of return on the investment. So this also I have explained in the previous videos, but for your better understanding, let me repeat it again. It is when the company fixes the price on the basis of a target rate of return. I had spoken to you that how a company makes a lot of investment into capital, into machineries, and incurs a lot of expenditure in manufacturing the goods. So they have a target rate of return, that means they want a certain return on the amount that they have invested. So in order to get that money back, they fix a price so that they achieve their objective of securing the return on investment. So if the pricing is based upon such a policy, then we call it as target return pricing. Let's check about going rate pricing. Going rate pricing is when the business decides to fix the price of the product or service based upon market price or market conditions. Now, this pricing is used to price similar products or general items which do not have much variation in design and function. For example, most of the products like petroleum products, aluminium, iron, cocoa beans, these are goods which are sold as they are. No changes are made in their designs and functions. So they are procured. They are sold in the manner that they are procured. So therefore, these are generally based on the market. Their prices are generally based upon the market conditions. So if the international market price is high, then the domestic price of such commodities also becomes high. And if when the international price is lower, the prices of such goods in the Indian market also gets lowered. So going rate pricing is when the business sets the price of the product or service based on market price. And we see this pricing quite often in general items which for which there's no much variations done with respect to design and function. Let's move on to transfer pricing now. Transfer pricing is the setting up of price for goods or services sold between controlled or related legal entities within an enterprise. Now, I'll give you an explanation for this with the help of an example. You would have heard about parent companies and subsidiary companies. That is holding company and subsidiary companies. So you have a parent company and you have a subsidiary company. Parent company is the controlling company, and they both the companies are under the same management. Many a times there's a transfer of goods that happens between these two types of entities, that is between parent company to holding company or holding company to parent company. So goods can be transferred to and fro, and during this process whatever is the price fixed for the goods, that is called as transfer pricing. So let me give the explanation once again. Transfer pricing is setting up of the price for goods or services which is sold between controlled or related legal entities within an enterprise. Again, example for this is a subsidiary company selling goods to the parent company. So the cost paid by the parent to the subsidiary is the transfer price. Now, why is transfer pricing considered, or why is transfer happening between the entities? It's generally done to avoid tax burden and to help the entities amongst one another. Let's check out some more types of pricing. So there you have cost-based pricing, which we have already discussed earlier. Under that, markup pricing was also discussed. Now let me discuss with you about absorption pricing. What is absorption pricing? The word itself conveys a lot of meaning. Absorption means taking in all the cost. So let us understand it a little more better. Absorption pricing is a method of pricing under which the price of a product includes all variable cost as well as a proportion of fixed cost. So whenever you're pricing the product, if you're including all variable cost and a certain percentage of the fixed cost, then we call this as absorption pricing. For those of you who do not know what is a variable cost and fixed cost, let me first explain that. Variable costs are the costs that are incurred based on the amount of output that you want, whereas fixed costs are costs which are incurred and it is not dependent on the output that is manufactured in the organization. For example, you need raw material to manufacture a product and make it a finished good. So suppose you want 10 units and you want to, with 10 units of raw material, you want to manufacture 100 units. So therefore, 10 units of raw material is costing you 20 rupees. So with this 20 rupees, you are manufacturing 100 finished products. Now if you want to manufacture 200 units, you have to have another 10 units of raw material. That means another 10 units, 10 plus 10, 20 units of raw material you need. I had told you that the cost of raw materials is 20 rupees. So now for this extra 10 units of raw material, you need another 20 rupees. So therefore total cost is 40. So 20 rupees you incurred to manufacture 100 units, and 40 rupees you will incur to manufacture 200 units. So the variable cost varies with the number of output. So the more you want output, the more will be the variable cost. There's a close connection or direct connection between the cost and the output, or output means the finished goods. But on the contrary, fixed cost is related to time. So suppose you're paying electricity charges of your company, or you're paying rent of your company. Now the rent of your company is 3000 rupees per month. This 3000 rupees that you're paying to the landlord is not dependent on the output that you're generating. So irrespective of the output, you have to pay 3000. Even if you're manufacturing 1 unit or you're manufacturing 1000 unit, you have to pay 3000 rupees. So fixed cost is always going to be static, whereas variable cost is going to vary. So in pricing, when the manufacturer considers the price of a product to include all the variable cost as well as a percentage of or proportion of fixed cost, then we call it as absorption pricing. Now, as all costs are absorbed into the determination of final price, we call it as absorption pricing. I hope this is clear to all of you. It's a absorption of the variable cost as well as the percentage of the fixed cost. And I hope you understood the difference between variable cost and fixed cost. Now let's move on to the next pricing method, which is called as break-even pricing. Break-even pricing in simple words means no profit, no loss stage. So many a times you come across this concept in cost accounting as well as in marketing. Break-even means a stage at which the company is neither making a profit nor it is making a loss. So it means here for retail marketing, price mix, it means a practice of setting the price at a point at which the business will earn zero profits on a sale. As I told you, it's a no profit, no loss point. Now, what is the purpose behind it? The purpose is to use as low a price as possible as a tool to gain market share and drive away competitors from the marketplace. So the reason for choosing break-even pricing is to use a very low price. So a break-even price is a price where there is no profit, no loss. If you go below that price, you will suffer loss, or the company will suffer loss. So that lowest price is used, that is the break-even price is used as a tool to gain market share. So when you go that low, you can hope to get more number of customers, so to gain market share and drive away competitors from the marketplace. So this is a strategy which companies take to drive away competitors and to get a major share of the market. So this price, break-even price, because it is the goods are priced at a stage where the company wouldn't make any profit or loss, we say that this cost or this price covers only the cost of goods sold. That is break-even pricing. Now let's understand skimming price. Skimming means actually skim the milk or skim the cream. These kind of terms are used for skimming price. Now what is skimming? Skimming means taking the cream of the market, that is exploiting the market when the time is very right. You know, at home your mother must be making uh, she must be making ghee out of broken milk or broken curd. She would be doing, and then she will be taking the cream out of it. So that's called skimming or milking the cream. Now this skimming pricing is applicable or is applied generally by companies when they introduce a very new product into the market. Now this product must be such that it is absolutely new to the market and nobody is aware about how to manufacture it. So when it is so new to the market, obviously the company would have spent a lot of money in manufacturing it. They would have invested a lot of money in the in getting the machinery for it, in getting the technology for it, in getting the or paying money for the royalty. All those things they have spent a lot of money, and they have manufactured the product. They have spent a lot of money even on research and development, and then they have brought this product into the market, and none of the competitors know about this product. Even customers are only getting to know about the product through this company. Now, when such a product is introduced into the market, nobody can actually ascertain the real value of the product. So, for the company, it is possible for them to price this product at any rate. Even if the suppose even if it is 500 rupees for the product, they can choose to price it at 1200, so that they can cover up for all the expenses that they have incurred by virtue of purchasing machinery, by getting the right technology, or by doing research and development. So even though at 500 rupees pricing they would have got a very good profit, they decide to price the product at say 1200 rupees. So they are actually milking the cream, they're skimming the market. So this happens only when a new product has been brought into the market and customers cannot actually understand the real value of the product, and neither there are competitors to offer that product at a lower rate, because competitors still do not know how to go about manufacturing the product. So till the time the competitors start coming into the scene, till that time this company or this manufacturer can continue to keep the skimming price, and the skimming price means a price which is high price, and this high price will help them in covering up the cost of all that is incurred for capital purchase, for research and development, and so on. And then once the competitors start slowly understanding that this person or this company is making a lot of profit, and they also start venturing into production of the same item, then because of the competition, the original manufacturer will start lowering the price, because from the introduction and growth stage, now the product has reached into the maturity stage of the life cycle. So skimming price generally refers to the price which is charged high, and this is charged on new products. And I hope you have understood the reason why it is charged high and what purpose it serves and how the price later on comes down. Now let's understand the next pricing which is stated in the slide, and that's called as penetration pricing. Now penetration pricing is slightly different from that of, or very much different from that of skimming price. While skimming price is a very high price that is charged, penetration pricing is a low price that is charged. Now why is that the price is charged low? The price is deliberately charged low so as to attract customers and to capture the market share. I told you, even today, as it has been in the past, price is a very sensitive issue with most of us. and we prefer to purchase products which are cheaply priced. There are many people who are attracted by lower price, and therefore penetration pricing is used to fix a low price and to attract customers and to capture the market share. So companies fix the prices below that of the competitor's price. So if the competitor is pricing his commodity at rupees 500, probably your company can plan to price the product at 400 rupees. This will help in switching the customers from the competitors to your goods. So therefore, this kind of pricing is used to drive away the competitors, because your lowly price, the competitors' customers will now get attracted to your pricing and they will come and buy your goods. Now, there is a reason why we use penetration pricing. This pricing is used when there are plenty of competitors in the market for a product and you come with a product with a lower price. Now, a very classic example of this penetration pricing is about our services, that is our internet services or our phone services, which are provided by various competitors, like you have Airtel, you have Vodafone, you have Idea, you have BSNL, and you have Jio. All these people are providing you with data connection. Now, all of them provide you with data plans. Now what happened was, there was stiff competition happening amongst all these service providers, and then Jio comes up with a particular plan wherein his is the cheapest amongst all. He kept it very cheap for 1 year, for one full year, and then he started he gave free data pack services to all the customers who moved on from the competitors to Jio. Now, because of stiff competition, he came up with a lower price. Jio comes up with a lower price. Even now, when they have their 3 months plan also, if you look at it, Jio gives considerable good quality services, but its pricing is lower than that of its competitors. So you cannot say that Airtel or other services are far better in the quality of services that they provide in comparison with Jio. They are all equal to one another, but Jio's pricing is lower, quality is same, and Jio's price is low. So obviously people prefer to take Jio connection, and therefore Jio has got a far greater number of customers, and it was able to capture and has been able to capture a wider market share. They have driven away competitors to a very great extent. So this is the impact of penetration pricing, where you're pricing the your product or service at such a low price that it attracts your customers and helps you to capture the market share. All right, so now from there we move on to the next pricing, which is I'll speak to you now about the next pricing, which is, let me just check out which I have missed out. Premium pricing I have already discussed with you. I've still got to discuss discount pricing, parity pricing. So let me start with discount pricing. Now, what is discount pricing? Discount pricing is marking down the price of your goods or services. So if you bring down the price of your goods or services, we call it as discount pricing. Now, there are certain reasons for doing this. Maybe you're having a lot of old inventory or old stock in your organization, which you just want to get rid of. You want to remove it from your organization. So you keep a discount sale, you advertise for a discount sale, and you price your goods low. Sometimes you find that the demand for your goods are not very strong, and the movement of the goods is very sluggish or very slow paced. So to attract more customers into your shop, you may opt for a discount pricing. So this is basically to increase the customer traffic or the footfalls into your store. Similarly, to increase sales also, you might carry out a policy of discount pricing, and to reward loyal customers also, you might follow a policy of discount pricing. So you might put a proposal that those who have purchased these many items, you all get a discount. So this is the way in which you can reward the loyal customers. Discount pricing is good provided it is carried out only once in a while. It should not be done frequently, because that will make you lose your image in front of your customers. Your customers may wonder, "Oh, why is it that every time a discount sale is being offered?" And they may lose the they may be skeptical about your performance. And if you keep it periodically or very frequently, another problem that can occur is you will suffer losses, because every time you're going to bring down the prices and sell the goods to your customers, obviously it's going to result in losses. But once in a while, to pep up your business, to push up the sales, to clear old inventory, or if it is to increase the footfalls in your organization, or if it is to reward your loyal customers, if you're following this once in a while, it's definitely appreciated by the customers, and they will look forward towards it, and they will look forward to the next discount sale that is going to happen. So that's it about discount pricing. Let's now discuss about parity pricing. Parity pricing refers to the concept of comparing two assets equal in value. So therefore, when there is a comparison being done between two items, we call it as parity pricing. So I'll speak about the other types of pricing in my next video. Thank you for your patient listening.